in this awakening, we learn so many things and we learn about each other. And so as we do our wind voices, that's exactly what it is, because our ancestors speak through each of us as we become more and more the hollow bone. And with the wind blowing through us, the information that comes through when we can learn to step out of the way is so profoundly beautiful, not just to everybody listening, but to we ourselves. That's the exciting part of it too. We're all the student, and yet at the same time we're all the teacher too. So it's a beautiful experience. And so as we do our wind voices, we are here. The Riverside is the business arm of Grandmother Circle the Earth, and we're all over the world. And that's how we've met many of you, and that's how I got to meet Bear today. I'm going to turn this over to Rodney now, but I just want you to know how much respect I have for Bear. I enjoyed so much meeting him at a beautiful and very powerful gathering where I first met the Mamos up in Montana at Catherine Cross's place, and I've had the opportunity to stay knowing him, and I was so happy when he accepted the invitation to speak here today.
Thank you very much, beautiful people, for having me tonight. It's a great pleasure and a great honor to talk in this circle, in this beautiful circle. As Susan already said, I have met Susan a few years ago in Montana at a wonderful ceremony. And ever since then, I've been following her work, and this unfolding of the circle of the grandmother is indeed an amazing, beautiful thing. Amazing, amazing, beautiful. And I hope I can support that project more in the future. I'm part of a round table where I've been talking on the Earth Day. That's back in Siberia. And we gathered with 25 shamans and wisdom keepers from all over Russia. And we actually committed on a global network of wisdom keepers where we would, at certain important dates, gather all these wisdom keepers into one circle around the world and do ceremony for Mother Earth. And the first one actually we have planned for the 21st of June, where I myself will be in Mexico. And yeah, I'll be bringing that maybe in a later stage or in a personal conversation with you, Susan. But I just quickly wanted to share that I really appreciate and love very, very much your work. And anyway, my heart dances when I hear grandmothers. It's the moment I hear the word grandmother, something is happening with my heart. So it's you know, so it's so beautiful. Again, only a few days ago I was sharing with 25, and most of them were grandmothers from all over Russia. Beautiful people. And this is actually where in the introduction my goal comes in. My mission I had throughout my life was always, I would not see all these cultures as separate. Nonetheless, each of the culture had a different approach in ceremonies and in rituals and in even how perceiving the bigger picture. However, on the bottom line, I realized when I started my connecting all around the world, that on the bottom line, it's all the same. And so there I started to connect all the dots and all the different peoples. And that led up to the organization of different ceremonies where we had wisdom keepers from New Zealand and from Siberia and from Africa and from the United States and elsewhere.
I would like to say something. That was so powerful to me, Bear. That was so powerful. And I met my biggest fear as you did that. I met my biggest fear, and it was dissolved. And I don't know about all the audio. The drumming went, but then it would stop. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but in those spaces between the sounds is where I got my gift. And it was a powerful healing. I can honestly say that because my biggest fear is loss. And as you were doing that, what I fear losing the most came into me. And I know for a fact that it will never leave me. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am, Bear.
Hmm. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. So it was not intentional. So actually, I was drumming all the time. So it was not intentional, but it was supposed to be. Yeah. Let's put it that way. There is never anything going wrong in that universe. Everything happens for a reason, and every reason is a very beautiful thing. And as we can witness here, in these pauses, there was some healing coming through. There was some healing transmitted, and so that was again not intentionally, but the universe created, the creator created it that way. The Great Spirit led it that way, that we were able to witness whatever came for each and every one. Beautiful, very, very beautiful. May I just ask, I only see 5 people here. Are we only 5 people?
There's 56 in attendance. It's on speaker view. If you go to gallery view, you can see everybody.
Ah, right. I need to go to gallery view. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, now. Oh, that's a bit more than 5. Good evening, beautiful people. Now I assume, then I knew that we are not only 5, but it's beautiful to see so many beautiful people here. And as in so many of spiritual gatherings, our beautiful sisters are always the majority. And I appreciate the few brave men in between. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm sorry again for the outage of the mic. Okay, so I want to share a little bit about the times we are in and how I see this very moment in time of humanity. As all of you know, all of you beautiful people on your way know that there have been so many predictions and so many visions and so many prophecies about a time coming where the world would collapse. And the term world doesn't mean the planet or Mother Earth. World is just a concept. World is just a kind of a construct. World is nothing else than a lot of agreements upon which a group of people agreed to live together. And I think until mid 2020, many people still were doubting, is that the time now? Are we in these times now, in these times of great shift? Or is it yet to come in a later stage? However, I assume that at this stage, as of today, nobody is questioning or doubting anymore that the times where our ancestors and forefathers, deities and visionaries were talking about the great awakening of the rainbow tribe, that we are in the midst of it. And so what we can see playing out in the plane, if we look out the window, let's say, I don't assume that many of you watch TV, but when I say window, I mean, you know, if we look out to the normal world around us, one might see we are ever deeper chaos every day, and ever more restrictions and ever more laws cutting our sovereignty. And yes, we are going through a big attempt of a power grab from non-very benevolent beings. However, it's only an attempt. I can assure everyone that this is only an attempt, and this attempt will take another 3 to 4 years. That's approximately the timeline I get. And when we come out, about after 3 to 4 years, we are going to see the rising, and we are seeing the rising of the rainbow tribe now already, but we are seeing the empowerment of the rainbow tribe. We are seeing the people who claim back their power and are able to integrate that kind of self-given empowerment, God, divine creator given empowerment, will be able to ground on the soil. We won't see that so much in the next 3 to 4 years. After that, it will be able to ground. So we will see on a big scale the shift happening, the shift into a truly loving and peaceful society. And what is important for each and every one of us at this very moment, in these pivotal times, is that we cannot allow to lean back. We cannot allow to shut up and we cannot allow to knowing that, not to do everything in our utmost possibility to come into our fullest strength. So each and every one of you who is aware what is playing out now on the earthly plane needs to step into his responsibility to stand its ground, to stand your ground, your sacred ground, as a sacred warrior of light. And that can be in so many different faces. And when I say we cannot shut up, that doesn't mean that we need to go out and demonstrate. That's actually something we should not do at all, because it just feeds the global narrative. But when we go within and when we discover our true and real beingness, that is what is needed at the moment. And in that sense, no one who is on the way can fall short. It's not the time to lean back now. It's 3 to 4 years, and it's not 3 to 4 years of fighting, because that's the wrong approach. It's 3 to 4 years of getting to understand who you truly are. Who is the I am, the being, not the persona, not the identification with what I know from the mirror, with my given name, with the story that personification comes. No, but really to understand what it means. I am a manifestation of the pure energy of the great spirit of the universe. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that everything I perceive in the outside is a making of myself. And when I say myself, I'm not identifying to the self, to the me consciousness or I consciousness. I'm truly a creator being, and I create everything I perceive in every moment. It's only there because I perceive it, because the Great Spirit is experiencing this, what I perceive, through me. So when we look into the world at the moment, one might get the idea that some dark forces are putting over something over the world, over humanity. And this is not precisely the case. It is more that our shadow aspects, our non-resolved shadow aspects, are creating these harmonic fields. And these harmonic fields are very necessary. So everything is absolute necessary. There is no black and white, or dark and light, or good and evil. Everything always is one. When we talk about the unified field, we must not understand that there is evil parts and good parts, because if we understand the unified field, we understand that everything comes out of that unified field, and everything is always in perfect balance. When we go into our me consciousness mind, we might understand that everything which is happening on the world, the power grab and the restrictions and all these kind of things, they are weird, and that's cutting my liberty, and that's cutting my freedom. But in reality, it's not cutting of freedom, because the freedom was an illusion. This kind of freedom was an illusion in the first place. All down the road, it was an illusion. Because that's not freedom. To fly around in the world from one continent to another is not freedom. And through all these happenings now, and we have not seen the peak yet. So we must be aware that we have not seen the peak yet. We have not seen the peak yet. So there is more to come. There is more to come. And by going within and by staying in your divine flame, in your center, you will be able to just observe that from the point of the observer and not get entangled in it, not get attached to it. You need to detach from it because it is changing. It is changing. So don't make your mind crazy, which what is playing out now and in the few years to come, because that's crazy. That makes you crazy. So it's very important to stay in the position of the observer and not going out and fight, not verbally and not physically. There is nothing to find in the outside. There is nothing to gain in the outside. We will not find any liberation, any freedom, any sovereignty by going out and shouting and doing millions of Facebook posts and go to demonstrations. What we have to do is we have to do our sacred connection with our sacred creational force, with the source. This is needed. This is needed when that big wave is over. When that big wave is over, and we step in our divine flame, then we become architects of this so-called new earth, of this new world, of this new paradigm to come and to follow. We must not think that it is gifted to us. It's not gifted, because there is nobody who could gift us something, as there is nobody who could take something away from us. So there is no, let's say, angelic spirit or beings who push us, who pull us out of these situations, nor there is any dark entity who is pushing us in there. We have to understand that it's all our doing. It's all our doing. It's humanity's doing where we are at this very moment. And so for the people who are able to see behind the veil and who have gone already through a process of awakening, for people who have mastered, let's say, the first 3 of the 9 freedoms, the first is bravery, the second is love, and the third is selfless service. Fourth would be enlightenment, and so on. It's very important to master that 3 freedoms in the time to come now. Bravery means the opposite of bravery is fear. So bravery means to overcome the fear, to overcome the fear. And that's a very, very important thing. Before I fully can step in my full ability of loving, of unconditionally love, I first need to master the fear. I first need to come into bravery, because only out of bravery I can unconditionally love. And when I can love unconditionally, then all of a sudden I can be of selfless service. And that is so crucial in this very moment, the selfless service. The selfless service in this moment, there are so many, the majority of our brothers and sisters roaming the earthly planes, the third density, are far away yet to be in the position to make the ascension into higher dimensions. And when we are at selfless service, we can take them at hand and help them. It's very difficult. You cannot make somebody awake. Somebody asked me recently, why can I not help somebody with awaking? And my example was, it is the same to tell somebody, you need to awake, you need to awake, you need to see these things. It's the same thing than like going into a meadow and asking a flower, can you please bring me the butter out of the fridge? It's so nonsensic. It's so nonsensic, that concept. So somebody who is in the sleep, you cannot go and say, why don't you see that? Or can't you see that? Or you need to awake. It is nonsense. It's impossible. So there is in my understanding, there is no other way than unconditional love and selfless service. This unconditional love creates an energy field. It creates a torus field around you, which makes this spark of awakening happen within the people you are surrounding yourself with. It's not a concept you can teach to people through voice, through having them read another 10 spiritual books. It is the living love of the living soil on that earth. And by sharing this living love and by being of selfless service whatsoever, what does selfless service mean? Essentially, selfless service means I just give. And there is not even the slightest notion of I need to have something back. Not from the person I give, not even from the universe, not from the Great Spirit, not from no one. This notion, when we talk about selfless service, this notion needs to be entirely gone. And something is really, really very important, that when we do service for people, we must not ask them to do something for it or to give something. Otherwise, we never get out of the spiral of the lack. The moment I give something to someone and I ask something back, I come from a position of a lack. I'm lacking something. I give you something, but through this giving of I gave you something, now there is a hole in me. There is something. Okay, so I need to fill up that hole with something. And when we substantially get to understand this, then we are substantially ready as the human family, as the human collective, to really ascend into the fifth dimension. Many of us roam many, many dimensions, 5th, 6th, 7th dimensions every day, every minute, every hour. But the human family as a collective is still stuck in the 3rd dimension, in the lower densities. And so, in my understanding, these are the ways to achieve that integration or ascension, I don't really like so much the word ascension, but the integration in the consciousness of the fifth dimension, because the fifth dimension is not something, a place we go to, and the fifth dimension is not something we need to create. I mean, we have to understand we live in a perfect universe, and many universes create an omniverse. So we live in a perfect structure. Everything is already in existence in every moment. So substantially, we don't ascend to somewhere. When we talk ascension, maybe we can talk about ascension of consciousness. I like more the concept of integration. I integrate the fifth dimension into my consciousness. And when I mean my consciousness, I'm talking about the human soul spirit aggregate, which has consciousness, because I am doesn't have consciousness. I am does not have consciousness. I am as the manifestation of the infinite energy of the Great Spirit has no consciousness. It dwells in pure awareness. This is when consciousness is relative, right? Consciousness is relative to something, while awareness is absolute. And the highest goal for a human being is to eventually get rid of consciousness. That might sound strange to you as a concept. However, this is when I'm able to give up consciousness, then I dwell only in pure awareness, in the pure state of being. And that doesn't mean that I'm not walking anymore, that I'm not roaming around this beautiful Mother Earth and doing things. It's merely a concept of the mind. When the me-I consciousness mind becomes fully integrated in the one mind, and so only each and every one of us can do its, let's say, homework. It's personal ascension and integration, because that will eventually or automatically then, when reached a certain state of consciousness, fuse together with everyone who is in the same state of consciousness. And that human family is growing by the day. As hard as it might sound, for many people who are very much integrated in that three-dimensional matrix system, meaning having children who are homeschooling now, or need to go to school, or need to be vaccinated, or need to be tested every second day, or all these or people who need to go to work and work in hospitals and wherever. So I do understand that it is it's a very harsh surrounding for the mind, for the I consciousness mind. So how can I still live in that system as long as it exists, but not be part of it? And when I say not be part of it, that doesn't mean not go to work, not going to work to the hospital anymore as a nurse. I mean I have to disidentify. I have to disidentify with the so-called troubles. As Nisargadatta said, all the problems are around the human body. And is it not so that all the problems are around the human body? They are made artificially in the mind around the human body through the ideas, through the base, through the first freedom, fear, bravery, the fear of death, which plays out in all different aspects of life. The fear of death plays out, is the mother of all fears, as I always call it, and it plays out in the fear of getting ill, in the fear of loss. It's all fear of death at the end. And how can this fear even have the slightest amount of food in the mind? Only if I perceive myself as a mortal being. When I become totally identified with the body. When I am able to be in a state that I see 50 plus people here, and I innately understand. I use the expression understand. I know it's not proper English, but I don't use, we are not understanding something. We are not standing under something. We are understanding it. So when I get the understanding that all these beautiful creatures I see here on my screen is an expression of myself and nothing else it is. And even the lemon tree out there is an expression of myself, and the bear and the fish and the tree and the plants is an expression of myself. It's all made of the same fabric. All these things have different frequencies, but they all have the same vibration. So they attacked in a different frequency, faster or slower, but the vibration is the same vibration. It's the vibration which comes from the void which contains nothing and from where everything comes. And this is the base vibration of everything in existence. And when I no longer get to see something in the outside as separated from me, I want to quickly open the brackets and say bracket. Why do we receive another body as separate from me? Why is that? Why is that? Why do humans in general have that notion of separation? You are you and me is me. And that's a tree and I'm a human. And you are American and I'm European or whatever. Why is that in the first place? It is because if your consciousness is three-dimensional, if everything you perceive is three-dimensional, then you only got 7 senses, right? To perceive your surrounding. You smell, you see, you taste, you touch. And then it is actually very logic and very plausible where that notion comes from of separation. Because if I only perceive through touching or through seeing, then obviously a person who stands in front of me, I perceive as a separate unit, as a separate entity, as a separate aggregate, as a separate body. So this idea of separation comes only when I only access 7 senses of perception. The moment I already go, let's say, into the 4th density, in the dream state, or in the visionary state, all of a sudden, separation is not that clear anymore. It already goes like in more in overlayers. Let alone in the 5th dimension. And here we go. Once we dwell in our consciousness, or once we have integrated the 5th dimension into our consciousness, it is where it starts to get interesting. Because all of a sudden, I don't perceive anymore a difference between the bear who is sitting here and the Susan who is there. What the perception is then is, this is another expression of the same source. And this is another expression of the same source. Because source wants to have this amazing, beautiful, colorful dance in the manifestation realms of diversity. That's why, by perceiving through the eye and by the touch, so many things look so different. Seen with the eye of the 5th dimension, there is no difference at all anymore. All of a sudden, we start to perceive the same vibration of all things. And of course, it gets always more, it fuses always more and more into a even deeper understanding when we talk about the 6th and the 7th and the 8th dimensions, where going on and on and on, the consciousness becomes fully integrated until the 9th dimension, when you are able to really give up what we call consciousness. So, coming back to the point, we are living in so beautiful times now. We are living in so beautiful times as the human family. And we have chosen to be here. Each one of these souls who have signed up for that trip into 3D, we have read the storybook before signing up. We read it over and over again, and we signed it. We said, yes, unconditionally, that's what I'm going to do. So we signed up for that mission. So one of my tasks is to remind each and everyone that you signed up. That you signed up. And it is not the time to fall short now. It is not the time to fall short. Each and every one of you is here now in this container here, in this beautiful gathering, for a reason. You're not here randomly. You're not here randomly. You're here because you're on the way. Each and every one of you is on the way. And I'm only here. I'm only this one expression of yourself, only this one expression of yourself, who tonight wants to just remind you to not fall short now. To take your brothers and sisters at hand and help them through your own example. Again, as I said before, helping by talking doesn't help very much. It's about living not living your own truth, but living your example, living your example. I cannot point out enough the fact of selfless service. Selfless service, selfless service, selfless service. That's so important. Selfless service to your neighbor, selfless service to your community, and selfless service to Mother Gaia, to Mother Earth. Selfless service to all creatures and all beings. And I urge you, please stop trying to save the world. Please stop trying to save the world. That's not your task. You didn't come here for that. That's no one's task. And you will not succeed. You will burn out. And you will run and run and run and run, like in a hamster wheel, all the time. Again, there is nothing to save in the world, because the world itself is an illusionary construct which is made up in our mind. And when I say world again, I want to repeat, I don't mean planet Earth, I don't mean Gaia, I don't mean the trees. They are all very real. We can touch them. Everything is very real. I mean the whole game and play from the morning to the evening. The mind is running in and running through this kind of world. This is an illusion. And how can you ever, if you didn't realize, if you didn't come to the point to realize that this is an illusion, how you want to save the world? You cannot save the world from your own illusion. So you have to overcome first your illusion. And then you will understand that there is nothing left anymore to save. And all of a sudden, when there is nothing more anymore left to save, everything will just perfectly, divinely orchestrated, fall into place. And as Susan beautifully in the intro mentioned, once we become this hollow bone, as our First Nation brothers and sisters call it, or in the Eastern philosophies, to become the empty vessel, it's the same thing. What does it mean essentially? It essentially means to give up exactly this urge of being in control of something. So with all the goodwill so many people have out there to wanting to save the world or wanting to save something in the world, environment, whatever, they are not aware that they actually want to control. No one ever, in no time, could know and not even glimpse in the slightest, not even Buddha and not even Jesus Christ, what the entirety of the big plan is. No one can do that. So why are we taking positions every day like we would? We are running around here and trying to be the big controllers, and we have no idea of what the absolute reality, the supreme reality, the Great Spirit's plan is, no one will ever know that plan. So what is the most beautiful thing to do here? The most beautiful thing to do is just to relax. Just to relax. Become the hollow bone. Because if you become the hollow bone, your earth walk will just become a thriving reality. Nothing else is possible. Every struggle, and take me by my word, every struggle we are facing, whether it's about money, whether it's about relationships, work, fear of the system, fear of being vaccinated, whatever, comes because we are control freaks and we want to control something. And where does control come from? Control comes from sorry, I just my alarm clock that my time slowly is over. Control comes from the ability of the ability of decision. We can make decisions, and according to these decisions, things in the 3D realm happen, but they only happen in the 3D. And control comes essentially from the free will. We have been given the free will. The human being has been given the free will. The human soulic spirit aggregate has been given the free will. And that's where the control comes from. And I can only look into my earth walk. And I can tell you as a living example, when I was in my younger years and tried to control everything, and I was, there were so many corners and walls and borders and stones on the way everywhere. And when I fundamentally understood, or understood, when I fundamentally understood, now I take the word understood. When I fundamentally understood the expression of the Great Spirit, of the divine will, I was understanding it. All of a sudden, everything comes smoothly. It literally is the human control, the human free will, who accumulates practically all the issues around our earth walk. And that hinders us from the integration of higher dimensions. Because again, the new earth, the rainbow people, the rainbow tribe, the ascension to a fifth dimension is not something in time which we have, which we needed to wait until now that it comes or it's a place where we go. No, we just need to integrate it. It's there all the time. We just need to integrate it. So, beautiful people, my time is over. And I could talk another hour or two. But that will be for another time. And before I give word to back to Susan, I give satsangs every 2 weeks. where everyone can freely participate on Zoom. And if you like to connect with me, I will just type. I will type into the chat my website, which is theonemind.org. It's not a full website yet because that's in the making, but you can get the contact there. And if you click the contact button and send me your email address, for example, you will be on the mailing list, and then you will get automatically the invitations for the gatherings. And the gatherings are mostly at the same time, Monday evenings, every second Monday, an hour earlier than today. Okay, beautiful people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mitakuye Yazin, our Lakota brothers and sisters say to all my relations. And I give back to Susan. Or who's taking over?
Yep, you were right. It's me. I'm just speechless. So I don't even know how to say what I want to say. I was at one point, and when you were talking, I was just thinking, oh my gosh, how do I get him to come and live with me? How do I get him to come here so that I could just sit there forever and listen to you? And then I remembered I live by the Mississippi River. I have you there.
Yeah.
You are always speaking to me, Bear, because I understand now the part about the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Somebody's been talking to me about that forever, and I just always go, and I just got it. I got it. And I hope that everyone got as much from you as I did, because I will tell you, I understand. I'm not quite sure I understand everything that I understand, but I know I will find out soon, because I can feel it already distilling like the dew from heaven onto my soul. So, my brother Bear, I thank you so much. Thank you with all of me, with my breath of my life, my aloha.
You're so very, very welcome. Yeah, and I don't know if I understood it correctly at the beginning, that people are able to ask questions if they want. Is that
Sure.
still
We
okay?
still have some minutes left. Yeah, we still have a few. If anybody has any questions, I don't know what happens to us when our time is up, Rodney. Do we just get cut off, or how does that work?
We can keep going. And if people want to put questions in chat, I'm sure Bear could answer what he can.
Okay, that sounds good. And as for the prayer, because that's where we had decided we were going to go, I never give a closing prayer. We never end. We don't end what we're doing. So like the smoke that's coming now from the sage, I just send it out to all of us to keep on carrying us wherever it is that we need to go, because we're going there together. And so with that, I will turn the rest of the time over to you, Bear, for whatever questions you would like to open for people to share with you.
Absolutely.
My part is done.
Would somebody
Aloha.
be so?
Aloha
Would
kepo.
somebody? Yeah, beautiful. Thank you very much. Would somebody be so kind and read the question, or tell read the question for me? That would be nice.
Rodney, you want to take care of that?
Super.
If anyone has any questions, just put it in the chat, or you can even wave
Yes,
at us. Yeah, be sure to wave.
even ask the question. Yeah, sure.
I think everybody feels like me, speechless. Anne, how about you? You're usually the question woman. Anne Tiller. You have to unmute.
As an elder myself, I've been through living and I've stepped into just being. And I don't have problems anymore. I don't have quests anymore. I just take it all. And just the state of being is holding all the dimensions, you know. So I just thank you for affirming that we don't have anywhere to run to. And I'm really grateful for this pandemic that has slowed us all down and given us ourselves. We don't have anywhere to go. We don't have to be busy going here and there to gather more. And we've been fed so much in, like, I'd say in the last 10 years or so, fed so many things, so many ideas, so many concepts, and they all lead to the place where we sit today with listening to you and just to be there and not have to learn it all, because it's already, we know it all. But you know, we've had people earning their money, teaching us this and that, and they've got to live, but you can only hear so much, and then you just need to go to the stillness, the place within. And I thank you for affirming that today.
Thank you, Anne. And Shane, I saw you. Shane has a question.
Oh, well, hey everybody. I think Anne already moved in the same stream of consciousness that I already had. I'm only 34, but which is here nor there. But Bear already confirmed what I already know to be true. Not to sound arrogant or pretentious, but this brings the full spectrum of what I was gonna say is moving faster than others. I'll say it that way. Moving faster than others, and yet being at this age has conflict. Are there any specific suggestions that you think I should do? I wouldn't say not stepping off, but when I usually choose to move slightly to the side and then return to the path, so to speak.
Just to get the question clear, you said you are moving faster than others, and that brings you into situations.
Yeah, I would say that. I'm choosing my words. There's a lot of understanding that I get rapidly. I'll put it that way. And quickly, I choose to recalibrate very quickly. However, since we all are co-creating collective consciousness, and a lot of what I do professionally is interfacing with people that have lack of consciousness, I sometimes even personally run into aspects of conflict that is not necessarily uncomfortable for me, but can be extremely uncomfortable for them.
For them, okay. Okay, I understand. So you see, the question is, what is the notion when you interact with other people? Are you I do understand when you say you are 34 and then you have a guy which is 45, for example, and you're more wise than he is, for example. Then that creates I don't know where you work, but maybe in the business world it can create some disalignments or misunderstanding. The question is, if you realize that you have more and more so of this, because you are obviously pulling down information very fast, integrating it very fast, then keep it for you. Keep it in your space. Keep it in your space, and integrate it within your beingness without how do you say, I don't assume that you try to convince others, but when you're in situations, you probably tell something or say something, and others are overwhelmed by that mass of information, or by that understanding you got, right? So on one hand, I have to say, speak your truth and be who you are. Don't get irritated. Don't get irritated on other people's reaction. You know, as long as the things you say, the things you do are benevolent things, you must not bother with the reaction of other people. If you bother, then you have to look into yourself and observe, where is that point in you which bothers, and why does it bother? Psychology would come up with a thing and say, maybe there is a little lack of self-confidence. You know, when you react to these things, just don't react to these things anymore. Speak your truth, be in your truth, and don't react anymore what the outside world is doing. You see? But be in your highest integrity. That's the most important thing with everything. So speak your truth, but speak your truth in integrity. Because one other notion in these times we are now, that's a very important thing for each and everyone to understand. We cannot be not anymore in our integrity. This is not a time who allows us anymore in the slightest notion, not even 1 millimeter, not 1 inch, to not tell our truth, to not tell the truth, to not be in the integrity. So as long as you can confirm to yourself, all what I say is in my integrity, say it, and whatever the reaction is the reaction of that other expression of the Great Spirit. But don't get entangled or attached to that reaction. If that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense. It just confirms what I know to be best. I just like hearing it again.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sierra, you have a question? If you want to unmute yourself, and I think we may close after that.
Okay. I just want to say thank you, because I actually had this prophecy dream, and in the story it was Mother Nature, and she was running around trying to save all her. It was right after the Australian fires, and so Mother Nature was trying her best to save everything. And then in the story, which I didn't publish yet because I just thought it didn't have the best ending, and I kept trying to turn that ending around, and the spirit told Mother Nature that it wasn't her job to try to save everything. And it was almost verbatim to what Bear has said. And it was just like so simple. And I kept saying to myself, no, that can't be the ending. I even talked about this during my talk. I talked about a little bit about that story. And I just didn't think that was the ending, but that is the ending. So thank you, Bear, for confirming that for me. I really appreciate that.
Very welcome.
Did you want to say a word, Susan? Okay, I'll do a closing prayer. Father Sky, Mother Earth, all our ancestors, all our relatives, we thank you so much once again for this most sacred circle that we've been part of for the last hour and a bit. We are so grateful for the teaching and wisdom from Bear Saorin. We thank you for his commitment to seeking out the truth so he may share that with his brothers and sisters on this earth walk. We're so grateful for this time together, for the knowledge that he shared, for the wisdom that is now part of us. I ask that we all keep this wisdom close to our heart and walk away from this time changed people, impacted people, and help us to be inner integrity. Help us to leave the illusion. Help us to walk in our truth, and help us to be the hollow bones that we know we came here to be. We all signed up for this. Thank you, Bear, for reminding us of this. We are so grateful of this time, of your words, of your wisdom, and for each and every one of you joining us in this sacred circle. We thank you. We love you. Aho. See you next Sunday, everyone.
Aho.